Someone grabs the front of your shirt, fistful of collar, knuckles pressed into your chest. Your body tenses. Your brain screams one word: pull. Pull back, rip away, create distance. That instinct will get you hurt. Not because it's weak, because it's aimed at the wrong problem. The hand on your collar is not the threat. The other hand is, the one already loading behind the attacker's hip, coiling at shoulder height, swinging from your blind side while your entire focus is locked on the fist gripping your shirt. That is the real anatomy of this attack. And the moment you see it clearly, everything about how you respond has to change. Most people look down. They see the grab and try to peel it off. Both hands go to the wrist. Both arms, all their attention, every ounce of reaction, poured into a problem that isn't going to hurt them. This isn't stupidity, it's biology. Under sudden physical contact, the brain enters a kind of tunnel vision. It fixates on whatever is touching the body because that's the stimulus firing the loudest signal. That grip on your shirt registers as the immediate problem because you can feel it. The pressure, the pull, the tension in the fabric. The fist you can't see, the one still behind the attacker's shoulder, doesn't trigger the same alarm. It hasn't made contact yet. It hasn't registered. Your nervous system prioritizes what it can detect right now, not what's about to arrive half a second from now. This is the same tunnel vision that makes people freeze during car accidents or miss obvious details during a mugging. Under stress, the brain narrows. It grabs onto the most immediate stimulus and ignores everything outside that cone of focus. In a collar grab, the immediate stimulus is the hand on your chest. Everything else, especially the loading punch, falls outside the frame. And that half second is everything. Because the collar grab isn't just psychological, it's mechanical. The moment that hand locks onto your shirt, your posture is partially frozen. Your head stays within range. You can't fade back easily because the grip anchors your upper body in place. Your chin stays on the center line, exactly where a punch wants to land. The grab doesn't just hold you, it frames you. It keeps the target still while the real weapon loads. That's the gap this attack exploits. And while your hands are busy pulling at fabric, the attacker's free hand has a clean, open line to your jaw. A collar grab is not a hold. It's a delivery system. Nobody grabs a stranger's shirt just to stand there. There's no strategic value in that. The grab exists to do one thing: anchor you in place long enough for the real strike to land. It controls your distance so you can't fade back. It controls your posture so your head stays on the center line. And it gives the attacker a reference point, a fixed target that isn't going to move. The person grabbing your shirt doesn't need to keep you there forever. They need 2 seconds, enough time to load their weight into the other fist and drive it into your jaw. Focus on removing the grab, and you're solving the wrong problem at the worst possible time. There's a second instinct that's almost as bad: turning away. Some videos teach exactly this. Spin, duck under the arm, rotate behind the attacker. In theory, it sounds quick. In reality, you just gave someone your back. You turned away from their free hand without ever dealing with it. Now you can't see what's coming, and you can't protect your head. If the attacker is even slightly faster than you expect, and under adrenaline, they usually are, you take a shot to the back of the skull or the base of the jaw before the turn ever completes. Worse, you've handed them a position where they can wrap your neck from behind. Turning your back on someone who already has hands on you is not an escape, it's a gift. So if pulling away fails and turning away is worse, what actually changes the situation? There is one control point that matters more than the grab itself. Not on the grabbing arm, on the striking arm, specifically the brachial plexus tie-in point, the point where the nerve network meets the front of the shoulder joint on the arm that's about to hit you. Here's what that is. The brachial plexus is a dense web of nerves that runs from the neck, through the shoulder, and down into the arm and hand. It's the wiring that controls everything from shoulder rotation to elbow extension to grip strength to the ability to make a fist. Every movement the arm makes depends on signals passing through this network. That entire system passes through a vulnerable corridor between the collarbone and the top of the shoulder. The tie-in point, where these nerves feed into the front of the shoulder joint, sits right at the surface. It's not buried under deep muscle. It's relatively exposed, accessible, and directly connected to the arm's ability to function with any real coordination. When that point is struck or compressed, the effect isn't pain for the sake of pain. It's motor disruption. The nerve signal between the brain and the arm gets scrambled. The shoulder weakens. The arm becomes sluggish. The hand may lose grip strength. The entire chain from shoulder to fist loses coordination, even if only for a few seconds. And a few seconds is all you need. Here's how this applies to the collar grab. When someone grabs your collar with one hand, they've committed that limb to a fixed position. It's locked onto your shirt. So instead of fighting it, you use it. Your first hand pins their grabbing hand to your chest, not to peel it away, but to keep it exactly where it is. As long as their arm is extended and anchored to your body, it's structurally stuck. It becomes a lever working in your favor. Now your other hand, the one that matters, targets that control point on the front of their far shoulder. The shoulder connected to the arm that's loading up to hit you. You're not reaching across to press gently on a nerve. You're driving into the front of the shoulder joint with the heel of your palm or the inside of your forearm, hard, direct, and into the point where the nerve network is most exposed. The target is roughly the size of a fist, right where the front deltoid meets the chest, not a tiny pinpoint you have to find with surgical accuracy. What happens next is mechanical. Compressing that shoulder point disrupts the motor signal running down the arm. The shoulder loses a significant amount of its ability to rotate forward with force. The arm doesn't shut off entirely, but the punch that was loading, the one that needed full shoulder rotation and coordinated muscle firing to land with power, now comes through weak, slow, or not at all. The timing breaks, the coordination breaks, the force drops. This is not a knockout trick. This is nerve disruption at the motor level. The brachial plexus controls the signals that tell the shoulder when to rotate, tell the arm when to extend, and tell the fist when to close. These signals travel from the spinal cord through the neck, through the shoulder corridor, and down through the arm in a specific sequence. Every punch depends on that sequence firing cleanly. Shoulder rotation first, then arm extension, then fist tightening on impact. Interrupt that signal chain, even briefly, and the arm becomes unreliable. The timing breaks before the fist ever reaches you. It's like cutting the power to one side of the engine. The machine still runs, but it can't perform. And there's a second thing happening at the same time. When you pin the grabbing hand down on your chest and drive into the opposite shoulder, you're creating a diagonal force across the attacker's body. One arm is anchored low, the other shoulder is being driven back. Their torso twists, their weight shifts to one foot, their base narrows. You're not just disrupting a nerve, you're collapsing their posture. A body torqued in two directions at once cannot generate real power from either side. They can't drive forward. They can't sit into their hips. Instead of controlling you, they're fighting to stay upright. That's the real window, not just a pain response. A structural and neurological compromise happening at the same time. The arm that was about to hit you is weakened at the nerve level. The body behind it is destabilized at the postural level. For a brief moment, the attacker's entire offensive system, the rotation, the base, the coordination, is disrupted across two different mechanisms simultaneously. That overlap is what makes this more reliable than targeting pain alone. What you do with that window, strike, disengage, redirect, depends on the situation, but none of those options exist if you never create the opening. This is also why that pressure point behind the striking arm works where most pressure points fail. A lot of self-defense content sells the idea of a magic button, hit the right nerve, and the attacker folds. In a calm training room, that often works. But under real adrenaline, when fight or flight is running and norepinephrine is flooding the system, pain compliance becomes unreliable. Pain thresholds spike. Fine motor skills degrade. The tiny target you're trying to find with a fingertip is now on a moving, thrashing body that may not even feel it. That point is different because it doesn't rely on pain alone. It disrupts motor function. Pain is subjective. A person in a rage or on certain substances can push through an enormous amount of it. But a nerve signal that doesn't reach the muscle properly is not something willpower can override. The shoulder either fires with full coordination or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, the punch that was supposed to end the fight loses most of what made it dangerous in the first place. Here's what this comes down to. Someone grabs your collar. Your brain says pull away. Override it. The grab is the anchor. The free hand is the weapon. Don't peel the grab off. Don't tie up both arms on the wrong problem. Don't turn your back. Pin the grabbing hand. Target the brachial plexus tie-in point on the far shoulder. Drive into it. Disrupt the nerve signal. Collapse their posture. And in the short window that creates, you move before the real strike ever arrives clean. A collar grab looks like aggression. It's actually a tell. It announces exactly which hand is occupied and which one is dangerous. Most people never read it. They stare at the grab, fight the grab, and never see the punch until it lands. The information was right in front of them the whole time. They just didn't know where to look. Like, subscribe, and stay dangerous.